Good evening. Should I say good morning? It is 1 a.m. And you know, today's episode's all about talking about how you know if you're a true Final Fantasy fan. I think, for one, you know you're a true Final Fantasy fan if you actually bothered to go to Walmart and buy this limited edition collector's set of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, even though you already bought Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. You just wanted it for the cool postcards. Now, I'm not rich. I don't have that much money, but it was all worth it to me. It was about 40 bucks or so, and it was so worth it to me because I have a script. I have the script of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. I have the novel all inside this little collector's set, and I have these nice postcards, as you can see right here, Cloud. And I don't plan to mail these to anybody. These are too precious to me that, as a real Final Fantasy fan, I cannot mail these cards to anyone. They're all from me, and I don't want to write on them. I'm very sad that they have little bent marks on the side, and that really bothers me as a real Final Fantasy fan. That bothers me. So, you know, I've never been notorious for keeping things in, you know, top condition, but what can I say? What can I say? And you know you're a true Final Fantasy fan if every time you experience a victory in life, you think in your head, because sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. And victory's sweet. Yeah, so. I know, so you all like victory. Never mind. We're getting off topic. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, you know you're a true Final Fantasy fan if you go on TrueSwords.com. I don't know if that site's still running or not, but I remember I used to go on it. I don't have a replica of any real Final Fantasy movies, but I would like to have some someday. And you know you're a true Final Fantasy fan if you cosplay. Now, I don't cosplay as any Final Fantasy characters. I can't say I do, I do, but I would like to someday. Particularly, I like to be Sephiroth. I always thought I'd make a badass Sephiroth. So, you know, I had like eyes too, so the green eyes. So I was destined to be Sephiroth. That means I was destined to be Sephiroth, I think. And, you know, you're a true Final Fantasy fan if you speak mindless jibber jabber like I am about Final Fantasy. And sometimes when you're bored, you just speak about Final Fantasy because you have nothing else to talk about. And Final Fantasy dominates your thoughts far too often. It's kind of like me. I also have a real obsession with Zelda as well. Isn't that funny? 2 series. But I don't mean to seem like I have narrow interests. I mean, I have other interests in video games. Of course, I love Metal Gear Solid. I have not played Metal Gear Solid 4 though yet. I do not have a PS3. But I would like to purchase one someday to one day play Metal Gear Solid 4. Also, Final Fantasy 13. That game looks so cool. Final Fantasy 13 looks so cool with the lightning, his main character. And it looks like a very complex story. Fabula, I might be pronouncing this wrong, it's in Latin. Fabula Nova Crystallis. That's how you pronounce it. And it's gonna be, you know, series of series, or however you say it, a series within itself. You know, it's going to be a series within itself. So that's kind of interesting. It's going to be like the compilation, or whatever, how you even say it, Final Fantasy VII. And it looks pretty interesting. There's going to be a tactics game on Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy Versus 13, and I'm really quite excited in what, you know, what Square Enix is offering. I am a little disappointed that Nabu, I don't know how to pronounce Japanese names, right, so please excuse me. Nobuo Uematsu, or Uematsu, he's a very good music composer. He's created many of our great tunes, you know, through Final Fantasy series. Particularly, I love One Winged Angel. I think it's a genius orchestral piece. And now that Nabu isn't going to be conducting the music for Final Fantasy 13, that bothers me a little because he's kind of signature to Final Fantasy itself. It's like losing a main member of the family, but what can I say? I'm still optimistic though about Final Fantasy 13 because it looks very interesting. I think it's gonna really recapture the true Final Fantasy feel while still bringing forth innovation in it. That what I think Final Fantasy 12 failed